With Farmers, you could get savings just for becoming a customer. It's a little extra something. So to tell you about it, we're adding a little extra something to this ad. Precious baby giggles. When you switch to Farmers, you could save an average of $437 on your home insurance. And that's a whole lot of something, baby. Aw, get a quote at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July 2020 to 21. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
In 1987, a former prosecutor named Margaret Kuhn took her dog for a walk in one of Louisiana's safest and most affluent parishes. The next morning, she was found dead on the side of the road. 34 years later, the crime remains unsolved.
No one is safe.
Listen to Gone South, Season 1, Who Killed Margaret Kuhn? A documentary podcast from C13 Originals. Available on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It is 20 minutes now past 8 o'clock on a Thursday morning. It is Veterans Day, and we are happy to bring on Minnesota's veteran, also the governor of Minnesota, Governor Walz. Tim Walz, how are you today, sir?
I'm well, Susie. How are you?
Well, I'm good. We're remembering our veterans today. I was just off the air with the guys remembering my grandpa. My mom just found a whole bunch of his dog tags from World War I. So I was like, wow, look at that. So anyway, it's just it's amazing.
Well, I want to give a thank you to all my fellow veterans and their families. This is a grateful, happy Veterans Day. This is a time to just pause again a little bit, and I think this is one area that over the last several decades, the country's gotten more right than wrong about how we recognize and take a little time. So I hope all those folks have a good day today.
Yeah. Now, just recently, you had a kind of a milestone when it comes to ending homelessness among vets, right?
Yeah, and this is when you talk to Minnesotans or Americans, if you tell them, take care of these folks who served us, one of the things is I think they're appalled that there would be the idea that a veteran be sleeping on the street. And we know there's a lot of reasons that lead to that, whether it's addiction or just, certain things lead to that. But fixing that situation is a priority. And we set out to become the fourth state in the nation to effectively eliminate veterans homelessness. And this week, the central region around St. Cloud and those 13 counties met that milestone. And it doesn't mean there won't be another veteran that may become homeless. What it means is that the system is set up to make sure that is incredibly rare and it's brief and it's a one-time situation. So Minnesota is now down to 279 veterans that we're looking to place. This is an effort of public, private, nonprofit, for-profit. I have to say our landlords have been absolutely incredible about taking some of our vouchers to get these folks housed. So it was a milestone. It's one that folks should be very proud of, and it moves us one step closer to, I think, what Minnesotans would expect us to do, take care of them and get these folks off the streets.
There are some great facilities in Minnesota as well. I'm thinking about out at Fort Snelling, a place for veterans to live. There are so many buildings out there as well that seem to be under construction, and we've often thought, my mom and I golf there, Governor, and she's 90 and she still golfs. And but there are, all those officers' buildings, and it's just like, man, why aren't we using this for something?
We are. Some of them, obviously, whether it's asbestos or things like that or the cost. But you're absolutely right. The upper post out there, if everybody's been out there. And the one thing with homelessness, it takes a lot of services. You got to make sure people are getting their health services, make sure they're getting work and all of that. Veterans come with that built-in support. And that upper post, I would just encourage people to watch. This is a bunch of veterans these facilities are incredible what we've done with them. We've repurposed some of those buildings, and then they're right on the light rail, right to the VA. They're right to their jobs. And the thing I'm most proud of is there was a veteran. I said, what's the best part about having your place like this? And he said, my grandkids are proud of me when they come visit. And I just think, just the humanity of it, and each of us, but by the grace of God, faces some of these issues. And you're right. And so I think seeing what we can do out there, and I know it's been a bit of a controversial issue of whether those should be for profit, whether we use it for housing or whatever. I think first and foremost, wherever there's places like that, your instincts are right that we should try and see what those can do to serve veterans. And they've done some of that. And again, it's our contractors who are out there, public, private partnerships that made that happen. So that's a great story.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on the line with us this morning on this Veterans Day. I know we mentioned it at the onset, though, but you are at a number of different places today. The official ceremony, I believe, is at 3 o'clock today. Talk about your day and the various places that you'll end up today.
Yeah, I try and spend some time. I'm gonna go down to the vet center, and those who aren't familiar with this is something, and just I would take a note of this, that it was the creation of then Vietnam veteran and VA Secretary Max Cleland, who passed this week. Mm-hmm. Max said these folks from Vietnam don't want to go into the big VA. They don't feel like they're welcome back. And what they did was they created a place where Vietnam veterans could share together and have counseling services that were anonymous, didn't force them to do anything. Mm. And vet centers have become hugely important. Now, one of the problems is we don't have enough of them. And we're going to go to the one in St. Paul. And I would just encourage your listeners, if you ever get a chance to just stop by a vet center, these are some amazing places, especially around, mental health, reintegration, substance abuse disorder, those types of things. Some great work is being done there. And just to be candid, it's some of the most cost-effective treatment that we do. So I'm going to spend some time with them. And I try and just do veteran-to-veteran stuff on Veterans Day, because a lot of folks don't really, it's important that we have the ceremonies and acknowledge, but I think it's more important on the one-on-one conversations.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit. You were down in southern Minnesota for the ribbon cutting of the Highway 14. I know that wasn't part of the infrastructure bill, but what other kind of ribbon cuttings do you see, and how quickly are some of these road projects going to get underway?
Oh, I have to tell you, Susie, that for me, I worked on that project for 12 years in Congress on the Transportation Committee. Over years, I was able to secure some funding for that. The folks who live in southern Minnesota, the most dangerous road, my neighbor Charlie Ingman died, had 3 little kids. We all have that story in southern Minnesota. So to cut that ribbon and complete that section, and this is what we did here in Minnesota, it was Corridors of Commerce, bipartisan, great work. But the infrastructure bill that passed last week, had I been in Congress, I would have considered it one of probably a handful of the most important votes I ever took. It is massive. The backlog in this country, you've heard me talk about it. I took a very unpopular position and said, we've got to fund road construction here, and people don't want to pay more in gas tax, but they know their roads need to be fixed. What this does is finally returns money to Minnesota that we should get to the tune of about $7 billion. And so what I think you can expect to see is this is going to load up the projects in MnDOT. Many of these we've already done for, about a decade. This will be a decade or so of work that will tackle issues that have been kicked around for decades. That southern Minnesota project, there were people there who were lobbying for this 40 years ago. And we need to accelerate that. It's not only moves commerce, it's the safety issue. So I can't tell you, I'm super excited. I think this is what people expect. People don't mind paying their taxes if they think they're fair and they go to something that they can physically see. All corners of Minnesota are going to see what has really been decades of neglect on major infrastructure is going to start to happen. So I think you'll see the work we already have planned, but the planning on these will start almost immediately.
That's great. And before we let you go, what about the special session? Will there be one before the end of the year? What's going on there?
I'm still hopeful. When you have a special session, we know that we need to get this essential worker payout. We agreed on that in session. We know that there's drought relief that's out there. And just to be candid, Susie, if you go back and look, 90 days ago I asked the legislature to make some moves around COVID because I said by the time we get to November, we could be in trouble. And here we set on the hospital capacity and things. We're doing the best we can on that. With special session, I'm hopeful that what you have to do on those is you just have to agree on what you can compromise on and leave all the rest aside. And so right now, I think we're there. Get this essential money out, make a compromise, do the drought relief, and give us a couple of the changes to make sure that our hospitals can relieve their capacity. So I am still asking them to do this before Thanksgiving. We'll see this week whether that happens or not.
Because you have to ask them to come back, correct? That's the move.
Right. And I'm not going to ask them to come back if there's no agreement on taxpayer dollars to just argue. And this argument is there were 9 people trying to work out this essential worker pay, and they said, well, we can't do it. Let's just kick it to the legislature. Well, where's the logic if 9 can't do it, that 201 can? You just need to work this out, get an agreement, and come back. And so I'm not going to call them back just to come into session with no goal, no plan, and no agreements. That's what the regular session is for. And it's just unfortunate because I don't think there's any disagreement on the drought relief. The things I've asked around COVID is what the legislature said, don't do emergency orders, we'll help you, we'll help. And then the essential worker, there's never going to be enough money, and it's never going to be totally fair for the people who are in there. That's why you're you're elected. Make the hard choice, make a compromise. We can come back and try and do some things later. So I'm still hopeful. I think, especially on Veterans Day, there are reasons to compromise and there are reasons to be excited, and we have much more in common. So I'm going to ask them one more time. Let's just do this.
Before Thanksgiving.
That's my goal. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense because we'll be coming back in January, and again, you know how this works. We'll mess around till May, and then in the last couple hours, we'll get things done. It's the nature of democracy. It's not pretty, but I'll tell you what, it's better than any other system out there, so we'll stick with it.
All right, sir. Good to talk to you, as always. It was fun to see you at the Children's Museum last Sunday with the kiddos. They are adorable.
Yeah, it's exciting. I don't know where you find any time. I see you at every event I'm at, and then I turn on my radio early in the morning, and you're on the radio. So take care of yourself.
All right, I sure will. I appreciate your time, Governor. Have a great day.
Yeah, goodbye.
All right, take it easy. That is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz with us on News Talk 830 WCCO, hitting on a number of important issues that we are facing as a state. And what we are facing right now is a look at national and local news with WCCO's Steve Simpson.
Hello, I'm Jason Concepcion, former co-host of Binge Mode Ravenclaw with Gryffindor Rising, still repping the Night's Watch despite Season 8, and the host of Crooked Media's new podcast, X-Ray Vision. Every week, my guests and I will take you through the world of comic book movies, fantasy shows, and more. Join us as we deep dive into your favorite franchises, discuss fan theories, and the latest news. Listen now for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Farmers Policy Perks are that little extra something you can get when you're a Farmers customer. So to tell you about them, we're adding a little extra something to this ad, smooth saxophone riffs. When you have a Farmers Home Policy with guaranteed replacement cost, if your home gets destroyed, we'll pay to rebuild it regardless of your limits. Dig it. It's a whole lot of something. Get a quote at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Optional coverage not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers-branded policies subject to terms and conditions underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
How long was Neil Armstrong actually on the moon? When did Europe start speaking English? Did Marco Polo really go to China? CuriosityStream is the streaming service for all things history, plus science, wildlife, and more. What's the real story behind the Mona Lisa? We've got that. What caused the collapse of Rome? We know. Where did we find mankind's earliest ancestor? Come find out. From Egypt to Einstein, CuriosityStream is the place for history and more. Visit CuriosityStream.com and start streaming now.